Everyone keeps arguing about who the best team in the AFC is, and I think that's the wrong question because technically the top team in the AFC right now is the Denver Broncos. I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. Their record might be that, but I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. Actually, I'll go out on record right now and saying whoever they play in the first round of the playoffs, whether it's in the divisional round or wild card, if they get the first round and they get the bye, that next week they're getting upset no matter who they play. That's how I feel about the Denver Broncos this year. What the biggest question is that who has the most momentum heading into the AFC playoffs? Who is the best team in the AFC? I think it's either between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. And I'm hoping, just hoping, whether it's in the divisional round, whether it's in the wild card, AFC championship, you name it, that we get a third game this season between these two teams. I would love it if they found a way to make the stars align and it was the AFC championship game and the winner to that game goes to the Super Bowl. That would fit so many great storylines with Buffalo overcoming New England if that happened, or New England overcoming Buffalo to get back to being in their dynasty ways. I mean, it fits. It fits every puzzle you need for the AFC storylines for the rest of the season. When you look at some of these other AFC teams, looking at the playoff picture, obviously Jacksonville, no one's talking about them. We need to discuss Jacksonville. They're really sneaky right now. Pittsburgh, Chargers, Texans, Colts and the Ravens being in the hunt as well. I think that the AFC runs through whoever can get past either Buffalo and New England. What do you think about that? After this wild comeback win, we got to get to that. But what do you think about that statement first?
I agree with you. I think Denver is a team to be reckoned with, right? Like I'm not going to go as far to say as they're going to get upset. I think we have to give them their respect for now at 12-2.
It's tough. It's tough. Continue. Go ahead.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. I mean, looking at their schedule, not super impressed, but 11 straight wins in the NFL, and some of their wins are pretty solid. But then also, you have wins over the Raiders, 10-7.
That's fair. Yeah, the 11 straight is impressive. Yeah,
it's impressive. It's the NFL. Give them that. But I see where you're coming from, though. So looking at the rest of the AFC, like you said, like Jacksonville, they're in that conversation. Pittsburgh, we just talked about. LA, I gave Pittsburgh the nod in that LA Pittsburgh kind of showdown, but LA is very good, and the Texans have the best defense I think I've maybe not ever seen, but certainly in that conversation, very, very good defense. And obviously, knowing my background, I'm a little bit of a fan of the Texans. So I think it does run through the Patriots and the Bills, though. There is a conversation for each of these teams that I just laid out, but these two feel like it's an eye test thing for me. These two feel like the best two teams. And you talk about this game that we just saw. If we get a third one, the first one, remember, 23-20 final, very, very good game, two very good teams. This one, 35-31 final, but the final score doesn't tell the entire story of this game. I cannot believe how this game turned out. I think regardless of whether or not you see these two as the powers that be, if we get these two as an AFC championship game to go to the Super Bowl, we're in for a treat.
Cinema, absolute cinema, if that's the case. For sure. You mentioned how the final score of this one, 35-31 on Sunday, doesn't even do it justice. You're absolutely right. If you didn't watch this game, first, go to YouTube, do whatever you need to. After this, you listen to this one and go find the highlights. It's worth the 10 minutes or whatever the NFL puts up on their website. And at least watch that. But Bills come back from a 21-0 deficit. It was 24-7 at halftime. And they come back and win 35-31. I mean, incredible. Josh Allen, 3 touchdowns. He only had to throw for 193 yards. James Cook stepped up, went for 107 on 2 touchdowns. On the flip side, though, you talk about the yardage and stuff. On the flip side, New England was crushing Buffalo, especially on the rushing side of the game. They rushed for almost 250 yards against the Buffalo Bills. The run defense is terrible on Buffalo's side, and that's something that's been a huge issue for Buffalo all season long. I remember the game against Atlanta a few weeks ago. Robinson ran all over Buffalo, and New England found it and opened it up. TreVeyon Henderson, I mean, he had one crazy breakout run for 65 yards, but even if you take that away, how impressive he was. He has 2 touchdowns. Drake May had 2 rushing touchdowns. Let's talk about Henderson first. What a pickup that New England picked up from him in the draft. He is so underrated, and I know Stevenson hasn't been the guy that's really turned out to be. Obviously, a lot of people were hoping that he turned into be a top running back, but Henderson is truly taking over as that top dog in the backfield for the Patriots.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. Obviously, the Ramondre situation was I still have a little bit of hope, but this guy has turned it on. And I believe he had two breakout runs. His 65-yarder is that the long one you were referencing? He also had a 52-yarder in there as well. So he has the ability to break through and just rip off these long runs, take off. He's got that speed. It's very promising. When you think back to the years of the Patriots' success, you had like some of those random running backs in there that would just step in and like LeGarrette Blount or James White. Like, look, it was a lot of fun, but they didn't really stick around for too long. It would be really cool to have a guy like Travion Henderson come in and be that guy, like a Saquon Barkley. I'm not saying he's Saquon Barkley, but kind of a staple running back that you can rely on for years to come. That'd be really, really cool for the Patriots here. As far as, you mentioned the Bills and their run defense, they won the game, right? Is that enough to, I feel like in the way you phrase that, it kind of had me feeling like, well, maybe this isn't one of the powers that be, in the AFC right now, but they won the game. They won this game 35-31. They found a way to stop New England's momentum going into the half. They were showing, because I didn't, of course, I didn't get the game. I had to find another way to watch it, let's put it. Yeah, shout out. But they showed some highlights on the game that I was watching, and I threw out there, I was like, boy, is this team going to win a Super Bowl? Like, gosh, they really look so good. I think they might have figured it out. There was a lot of questions after their 10th win. Are these 10 credible wins? And I was like, man, if they're really hanging it to the Bills like this is a good team. They couldn't finish the game. I'm going to kind of let that be. We'll come back to that maybe in a second, but I don't sleep on this Bills team just because they gave up 250 rushing yards. Like, they found a way to win the game.
Yeah, and that's true. There's a very good way to look at it, and they've been looking good over the last couple of games against the Steelers. And we talked about earlier in this episode how the Steelers are looking pretty good right now. They won against the Bengals. Say what you will about that. The Bengals defense isn't really incredible, and then the comeback victory against the Patriots. This is one of those what they call a hat and t-shirt game. Where the Patriots were trying to clinch the AFC East for the first time in 5 years. They haven't done that. The Bills have owned the AFC East for the last half decade. And if they won this game, they would have been able to raise the banner, if you will, of the AFC East for 2025, put the hat and t-shirt on, celebrate in Foxborough, and the Bills stopped that. Now, eventually, most likely, the Patriots will still wind up winning the AFC East. They basically have to, if they win out, they control their own destiny. They still have a game up on them. And just looking at the records and the way that looking at the Patriots schedule the rest of the way, they do play in Baltimore, and that's going to be an interesting game. They do play, and that's what the Saturday game, I believe. That's an interesting game happening, or is it the Monday game? Either way, it's a game. It's a night game. I just can't remember what game it is. I know we got Saturday, Monday games, all that stuff happening. But
we've gotten to that time of the year.
We've got to that time of the year, but they're playing a night game, December 21st, whatever that day is. I don't have the calendar in front of me. And then they finish the Eagles and the Jets. And excuse me, that's the Bills. The Bills have the Eagles and the Jets. This is going to be a wild ride for the finish. And I don't know if the Patriots can find a way, if they win out, if they become the number one seed. To me, that would make a lot more sense in my eyes about who's the best team in the AFC. I personally think that the AFC playoffs should run through Foxborough this year. I do think the Patriots are the best team, but yeah, watch out for these Bills. I do think, especially right now, with everything happening with the Patrick Mahomes and the dynasty and the question marks of the Chiefs, and who knows what's going to happen in 2026 and beyond. What is the one thing that the Buffalo Bills haven't been able to get past over the last 5 years in these playoffs? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They will not have that obstacle this year. Now you have the Patriots, who have always been a thorn in their side, especially in the Brady years. I think Brady was like 30-3 against the Bills, something insane. But now they don't have the Chiefs to worry about. If the Bills want to win their Super Bowl, the Super Bowl they don't have. The Patriots have a few. The Bills don't have one. 5th time's a charm, making it to the Super Bowl for the 5th time. Obviously, they got to find a way to do it. I think this is the year they have to when the Chiefs are out. And I don't care if you say you got to beat the best to be the best, whatever the case you need to be. I've had this conversation with many people over the years. You're talking about, well, the Super Bowl won't count too much because Mahomes will be out of it, and you never actually beat Mahomes. At the end of the day, you won a Super Bowl. I don't think any Bills fan will go out of their way and say, yeah, this is an illegitimate Super Bowl win. They will be happy that they finally got one. Yeah.
And let me throw this out there too. This is like a little bit of just a personal story. I'll keep this as quick as I can, but sometimes it's matchups, right? When I was back when I wrestled, feels like a decade ago now. There was this one guy at 170 who just had my number. I could not beat him. He had a phenomenal tight waist, really, really lanky, really good half. I could not stop it. I went up to 82 to take on this. I'm not going to use this guy's name. I remember it so well, but he was so much better, so much stronger, everything. But I was a better wrestler in the technical aspects, so I was able to get him. Sometimes the Bills, they just can't beat this one team. That doesn't mean they're a worse team. Just means matchup wise, they can't beat the Chiefs, but they can beat everybody else. So don't count out the Bills and say like, oh, this isn't a real good Super Bowl because of course Chiefs weren't in the playoffs. So you have to play this best team. Like sometimes it literally just comes down to matchups. If you're going to play a team, if the Bills run defense struggles and you play a team that runs all over you, like that's a matchup error. That's just a problem that you can't really. It just ends up being like they had a hard counter, right? For my Clash Royale fans out there, it's just they had a hard counter. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. But this Bills team is legit. I think the Patriots running through Foxborough is a legit chance looking at the Broncos. They do have a relatively easy end to the year with the Chiefs and the Chargers in there. But the Jags will be a good game as well. That's the 21st at 3:00. That's a Sunday, by the way, as you had mentioned earlier. Look, I think the end of the day, it comes down to this is going to be a phenomenal AFC playoff picture. Like that's just really
the entire NFL playoffs are going to be nuts this year. But I'm with you. The AFC side, I think, is going to be absolute cinema, especially if somehow, some way, the Bills and the Patriots wind up being the AFC championship game. I think this is truly what the folks want. This is what they need right here. Is one of these games on national TV, because this was a 1:00 Eastern game on Sunday, and it was the best game of the week. And no matter what side you were on, and we called it. It was the game of the week. We had it on the show last week for sure.